Good morning, everybody. I know we didn't do a devotional yesterday. Um, I had to go early into work, and so I didn't really have the time to make a video. Even this video will be a little late on my YouTube channel. Uh, but we're here on July 2nd. We're 2 days away from Independence Day, guys. Get ready to all those fireworks and remember the freedom that we have, especially in Jesus Christ. So, July 2nd, it is titled Not Looking Unto Man by Pastor Paul LeBoutillier in Calvary Chapel, Ontario. That is a very interesting name, Pastor Paul. But let's get into the verse that he quotes. As soon as Esau heard the words of his father, he cried out with an exceedingly great and bitter cry, and said to his father, Bless me even also, O my father. Genesis 27:34. Talk about dysfunctional families. When you read the entire chapter of Genesis 27, you find an entire family attempting to manipulate God. The chapter begins with Isaac calling Esau into his tent and telling him to go and hunt game so that he may eat and drink and give him his inheritance blessing. The only problem is that Isaac knew that the blessing belonged to Jacob. Even before the boys were born, the Lord had told Isaac and Rebekah that the older would serve the younger. Genesis 25:23. But Esau was Isaac's favorite, so he was determined to do things his way. And then you have Rebekah. She also knew the prophecy about Jacob receiving the blessing, but instead of trusting the Lord's plan, she came up with her own plan to get Jacob to deceive his father into thinking he was Esau. And since Isaac sought a sight was now gone due to his advanced years. Jacob is a piece of work all his own. His name even means one who deceives, and he lived up to it. He too thought he could manipulate circumstances and find himself on the receiving end. And finally there was Esau. When he came in from the field and prepared a meal for his father, he was met with news that Jacob had slipped in deceptively and stole his blessing. So Esau cried to his father repeatedly, Is that it? Is that all the blessing you have to give? Esau is a picture of the natural man, the kind of person who looks to the things of this world to satisfy, who discounts the value of things eternal. And from God. And he looked to his father for a blessing, and figured it was as simple as getting Isaac to say the words. But in the end, there was no blessing to give because blessings don't come from men, they come from God. Esau had to learn the hard way. Every good gift and every perfect gift is from above. Quoting James 1:17. Don't be like Esau and look to the world or to men for the things that bless your life. Those things can only come from God. Look to Him and Him alone. Yeah. Well, I can't remember whose letter it was, whether it was Paul or one of the other writers in the New Testament, but they talked about uh, Esau despising the birthright. He did not care. Like this, uh, like what Pastor Paul is saying that Esau was a natural man, or yeah, natural man. He only cared of the things of the flesh. He married outside of what was prescribed for their family. God had told him to stay within the family of Abraham. And all Esau tried to do was please his parents, to try to be in the right way. And that turned out bad because all it did was cause contention within their family. Not saying that Jacob was perfect either. But when it comes to the blessings of God, it's true. It really only does come from God. When man tries to bless man outside of God's will, it becomes a problem. And it ends up becoming something where one person expects another thing from another person. The whole You give them an inch, they take a mile. Perspective. And that's kind of just where we are, is depending on God for blessings. I had a friend that he needed to sell some things in order to help provide for some parts of what their family needed, and God blessed them with it. So they needed a mattress. He witnessed and encouraged the or a mattress salesman, and it was given to him for free, but like one of the more expensive brands. And then that same day, he was selling his truck, and he got it for only like $500 less than his asking price. And that encouraged me and reminded me of how good God is and how much God wants to bless us. But he can see what we're going to do with that blessing, and he gets to choose what to do with that blessing. We just need to remember to be faithful to what God says. There is no formula on who God blesses and who God doesn't bless. He gets to choose. He decided to bless Jacob, who was a liar, deceiver, a supplanter, and we have the whole nation of Israel because of it, because God worked through him. And then with having the whole nation of Israel, Jesus Christ was born out of that nation. God used that nation to bring forth the Messiah. And so, and which is the biggest blessing of all, because Jesus died for our salvation. And so that's something I want to encourage you guys with, is God will choose who he blesses. And I know he blesses the faithful, but he also blesses the unfaithful too, within what his will is, what his plan is. But he blesses those he loves. And who are those who he loves? Well, Jesus says that if you abide in me, you abide in my Father. If you abide in my Father, you abide in my love. Or no, that's not the correct phrasing. But the idea is, if you abide in Jesus' love, you have the Father's love. You live in that. Be faithful to that. Those who love Jesus follow his commandments. So that's my encouragement to you guys. May God bless you all. And this video will be posted at some point today to YouTube. All right. And TikTok. And TikTok. All right. You all have a good day.